What's happening? What's happening? What's up? We are back once again with Rewatch Them Thrones. Look, Tyrus ain't here tonight.
Yes.
Tyrus ain't here tonight, but I got my peoples in the building with me. I got Celestial of House Stark, and I got the Warrior Queen of House Stark as well. And I am your host, Jon Snow, real daddy, baby. You heard me? So we are back once again, and we are so happy to be back with y'all. It's a beautiful time to be back in Westeros, and we are back to the future with episodes 1 and 2. So how y'all been doing for the last how y'all been doing since House of the Dragon ended? Talk to me.
Trying to come down just a little bit. Trying to relax out of all the drama that out of the last episode, and in grief counseling for the little baby in Iraq. I just Jesus. I done had three more funeral outfits on. And that includes Friday night when I went to see Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Woo, that was a good ass movie. I went to see it last night. Hey, boom, what y'all say? Hey, listen, we won't talk about it. We ain't no spoilers, no spoilers coming.
No,
but
spoilers.
That shit was lit.
That shit was good, boy. I cried from the beginning to the motherfucking end, man. I was a crying damn fool in Wakanda the other night. But man, we got Valerian, the light skinned dread in the building. What's happening, my brother?
Yeah.
I was just asking the ladies how they been doing, since the House of the Dragon ended, and we done had a couple weeks, missing in action. How you been, man?
Sundays ain't been the same, man. I
miss y'all, man. I miss you too, though. I miss you too, though. Damn.
I've been over here like, y'all ain't got no more of that House of the Dragon. Y'all ain't got no more.
Right.
Speaking of House of the Dragon, did y'all see Saturday Night Live last night?
Yes.
I did. That shit was hilarious. Hey, that shit was good. Hey,
Dave Chappelle is wild, yo.
They said a whole bunch of names that sound like everybody else's name and everything.
Right.
It was plenty of shit talking. If you have not seen that yet, man, you definitely need to check out that episode of Saturday Night Live. Dave Chappelle was really funny. So, I know there's much ado as far as the conversation is to be had, but I think he did a really good job last night.
Cool.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to talk to y'all for a minute because I missed y'all asses. I think Leslie's gonna pull up later. Tyrus might pull up.
Okay.
Yeah. TK. He got to work, man. You know what I'm saying? He got work to do. Like the Isley brothers say. But shit, hey, we gonna get on into it, man.
Well,
look, the community is back in the building. We see y'all. They say TV sucks right now. Well, we about to bring it back. We about to bring it back right now.
Ain't
Count us
nothing
as TV.
on. There's nothing to watch.
That's right. Sports. Hey, look, if you watched episodes 1 and 2 with us, and you are on Twitter or if you're on Facebook, one of the things we want y'all to do so that we can help track this is use hashtag Watch Them Thrones. Say I'm watching them Thrones with Watch Them Thrones. Use our hashtag Watch Them Thrones, and at HBO to let them motherfuckers know y'all watching them Thrones with Watch Them Thrones. Because we're trying to track our stats. We want to know what type of impact we having on the culture right now. Because we want to talk to them about it at some point in time, so that maybe when House of the Dragon season 2 comes along, we might be on the big stage doing our thing for real with y'all, making it happen with us. So I just wanted to put that out there before we get started tonight. Let's get started from the jump with season 1, episode 1. Tonight, y'all, we covering 1 and 2. So let's get right into it.
Let's get it.
I will say this, man. The very beginning of Game of Thrones, after seeing it for the first time, and now going back and looking at the very beginning, the shit don't start off slow at all.
And not in the least little bit.
Right. So let's get into that. Let's get into that. Valerian, talk to me about the jump of what we are being introduced to from the opening, before the even opening credits. What are we being introduced?
And one of the dopest things, y'all know I'm the book geek, so like it's right in line with the book as far as how they set up the start of the show, the start of the first episode or whatever. You got the men of the Night's Watch leaving Castle Black, headed out on a patrol. I think they got word at this point that some wildlings was out, wilding the fuck out. But and so they go out to check this shit out, and then right from jump, you know, we see our first look at one of the White Walkers, like what, a good 5 minutes in. They out there arguing, bickering amongst themselves, and Buddy come up and just start fucking niggas up.
Right.
And that's where we at.
Right. Like, so from the jump, like, you literally are seeing, this is a show about fucking zombies. Like,
right.
it's
zombies. These
right.
It's
You know, like, if you don't know shit else about Game of Thrones, if you watch the first fucking 5 minutes, you will know this shit is about zombies.
Right.
It's about
I had that thought.
Right. Like, this shit is about dismemberable. Hey, we got the Caucasian walkers in the building tonight. What's happening to my guy Tyrion, man?
What's going on, man? How y'all doing, man?
Man, we missed your ass, man.
So good to be back.
Yeah, fam. Listen, we really are only just getting started. Like, we just literally got into the first 5 minutes of the show, and the fact that, like, going back and looking again, like, this show didn't start off slow at all. It literally, from the jump, gives you fucking zombies.
And we even got a time jump, like right in the middle of the episode. So like a lot of people were complaining about the time jumps in House of the Dragon. I think they were a little bit more subtle with the time jumps in Game of Thrones. Like, and you kind of see it as it's happening. They explain it as it's happening too, but it's a lot more subtle when they skip some time in Game of Thrones than you saw in House of the Dragon.
Facts. So I'm gonna let the ladies jump in. Celestial, oh, my bad. Let me call y'all by y'all's names on here. Warrior Queen, Celestial of House Stark. Y'all talk to me.
It's a lot of Stark energy out here today, baby.
Let me talk to me about you know, your first re-impression of Game of Thrones, just the initial scenes.
Go ahead, Celestia.
For me, I had the same thought. I said, damn, this is like Walking Dead back in the day. Like, so that was my first initial thought, because I was, you know, for a large period of time, I was a very huge fan of Walking Dead. So that struck me immediately. And then just looking at the characters themselves and remembering how they looked at the end of the show versus now going back to see how they looked at the beginning and kind of remembering that journey and that process. So it was interesting to me. And like you said, it did. I remember thinking on the first time watching it, oh, this is slow and da-da-da-da-da. But when I watched it again, I said, well, okay, they really did hit some key. They gave us walkers. They gave us, you know, beheading. They gave us treachery when the hand was killed. So it was a lot going on in that first episode.
Facts.
Big facts.
Definitely.
Talk to us, Warrior Queen.
They set it all up, and they put a lot of Easter eggs in the whole way.
Facts.
Even as later on in the episode when Cersei is talking to Lady Stark before they leave, and she says talks about her dead baby that was a black-haired beauty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sets up something that comes way later.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Cersei was on some shit for sure. Like, Cersei was slick. So I'm gonna have my guy Caucasian Walkers to jump in. It's a hell of a name, by the way.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You know.
Yeah, man.
I try.
Talk to me about your first re-impressions. I don't even know if that's a motherfucking word, but it is tonight, though, Jack. So,
no, man. Like, so the first 5, right? Re-impressions, making up shit. Regardless.
Oh shit!
Making up shit.
You know, I used to be an English teacher, so I'm getting my red pen out for y'all.
See that?
There you go. Please do. I need it sometimes. Nah, so and y'all may hear my kid in the background. But as far as like the first 5 minutes, man, I was actually really kind of struck by like how stupid the fucking Rangers were. Like especially the lead Ranger, man. And
right.
I'm like, I forgot how fucking dumb these motherfuckers were. Yeah. And the lead Ranger was trying to be this Bravos person, you know, like trying to be all cool and brave and shit. and it completely, and you knew even the first time you watched it, that shit was gonna backfire. You were like, that nigga's dead. I don't know about these other two motherfuckers, but his ass is gonna die. And I actually did like a little bit of research on this. So the reason why they made those signs, not only is it later on we'll see like Children of the Forest signs, but also the show writers wanted to show that the White Walkers were like these like intelligent beings and not these like sort of mindless zombies that we're used to most zombies being, which is kind of weird because like when the motherfuckers cut his head off, that was enough for me. You ain't even got to show no.
I ain't never seen no zombie use no goddamn sword before.
I don't need no sign of intelligence, my nigga. I'm out.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm out. And so that was another thing that kind of intrigued me. Why did they let the last cat escape? I've always wondered that, even throughout my entire series of rewatches and all that shit. Like, why did they let that cat escape? Who ended up obviously going to Winterfell and getting caught and getting beheaded by Eddard. But I always wondered that.
Yeah,
y'all got any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, so I definitely wondered it too. I think the White Walkers was like, let them motherfuckers know we here. Like,
that's what I was thinking. Like maybe on some like, hey, tell them it's up, nigga.
Yeah, like I think they really wanted. I think they was like, look, let them motherfuckers know we here. And like you said, it was
like we back.
The fact that like you said, these men from the wall who, if it's your first time watching, you don't understand how brash they are in this moment when this dude is like, bro, I just saw a whole circle of motherfuckers bodies piled up in shapes. Nigga, let's go back to the wall. Like, and the wall ain't the greatest place in the world, but like, hey, look, let's take our ass back to the wall tonight. And these dudes like, nah, bro, let's keep looking for the wildlands like we supposed to be doing. And he like, bro, this ain't no damn wildlands. These ain't wildlands. But within moments, obviously he sees the girl that was just staked against the tree. Off of the tree with blue eyes glowing, and suddenly we know, okay, we are dealing with the supernatural. We're dealing with, like Leslie pointed out, highly intelligent, or at least more intelligent than what we've known. And so we know in the very beginning of the show that there is going to involve some fantastical aspects to this show that maybe, if you aren't necessarily familiar, you don't realize from the outset. So I think it was Celestial or someone in the comments that mentioned beheading within the first 5 minutes, and like, let's get into that, man. Like, it kind of, there's some complexities in that because we're still being introduced to these characters, and I had to like remove myself from liking Ned as a person and kind of remembering that part of his duty was to kill the motherfucker who came to warn them that these motherfuckers was coming, and he disregarded them initially. Disregarded this guy initially.
Motherfucking warden of the north in that bit, of the north.
Yeah.
Right, and disregarded it even as he was saying winter is coming. And
like winter was coming as far as like the actual elements and the fact that people, live and die in the winter and starve, and there's a certain amount of, in the north is already kind of as Trump likes to call it, a shithole of a country, a shithole of a region. So I mean, like that's what he meant, I think, when he means by like winter is coming. As far as the White Walkers concerned, that was 8,000 years ago. So it's almost like coming here now and telling the motherfucker, oh, there's going to be another like world flood and we need to build another ark. You're going to be looking at the motherfucker like, what are you talking about? Like, nah, like that shit did not happen. What are you talking like? That's ridiculous. But, and so in this world, when they say something like the undead is coming and White Walkers are coming, motherfuckers don't believe that shit because the last White Walkers that appeared were 8,000 years ago. So it's more of a myth than anything else, especially in those days where motherfuckers ain't got like no, just besides like word of mouth almost, right? So,
right,
y'all so goddamn funny. White Walkers full of nigga shit.
They are.
The White Walkers had them legs out, baby. Oh shit. Yeah, man.
I even noticed the legs.
Right. So yeah, like it was
legs out.
White people for real.
So the thing Go ahead, jump in.
Oh, I was just going to kind of back up what Leslie was talking about, like when Tyrion was talking to Jon Snow when they were going up to the wall, and he was like, those are bedtime stories about snarks and grumples or whatever he said, whatever made up word he said, that you tell children at night to, make them behave. And Tyrion didn't believe it at that time. Mm-hmm. And we also get several of our, I don't know what you would call it, Tyrionic witticisms. Mm-hmm. Tyrion always spitting.
The goat. The goat.
Tyrion was definitely doing his thing this episode. I mean, well,
from jump.
And we'll probably talk it for the audience's perspective. Since we watched 2 episodes, we can kind of talk. We can jump in between them to talk about them. You know what I mean? Like, I know we kind of do things sort of sequentially, but don't feel like restricted to that or whatever. I would say that for me, the initial scene of watching Ned again, Ned was so bound to duty and his obligations and essentially playing it by the book or doing what was honorable that I think even the beheading of this man under those circumstances, which he later questions in the episode, at least to a certain extent, when he talks to Benjen, it does highlight like the chain of events that is going to lead to his fate and really the fate of the entire 7 kingdoms as it relates to what plays out over the next 8 seasons.
Yeah.
So you really see early on Ned is a super bound by this duty. It's like, oh, I gotta cut your fucking head off. Thank you for the information, but now like he like, man, let my mama and them know I ain't no bitch. You know what I'm saying? Let them know. You know what I'm saying? All right, my nigga, chop. Like, God damn.
And then, but you even see in that scene, like, how that shit is, like, passed down through the generations, Like, you see where Ned got it from with his father. Y'all excuse my child. She's eating candy and apparently it's delicious.
Ah, man, that's okay.
So, but you see him, he made that effort to include all of his sons, including Jon Snow as bastard, including Brandon Stark, the youngest, well, not the youngest, but the youngest son that could attend that at the time at the age of 10. And you even see Jon Snow standing there with him like, hey, don't look away. Father, if you look away, pay attention. All of this shit is meaningful, not only to this house, but like you said, CJ, like we see this setting up the next 8 seasons of this entire show. Honor, legacy, duty, all of that is setting up what we see. But it's also setting up that shit don't always win. Like honor, duty, and legacy don't always win out on this show. And I think they're showing you that early.
Facts. I think that's definitely something that was worth highlighting. So anybody else want to tap into what they observed with Ned, or would you like to move along to the dead stag and dead direwolf that are discovered next?
We can move along.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, look. Obviously, we know that there's symbolism there, and y'all can get into that if you want to. But so within minutes or within seconds of chopping off dude's head, right? Literally they just start walking, and suddenly they discover a dead stag, and they're like, "What the hell did this to this stag?" And someone says, "Was it a mountain lion?" But obviously, it was not a mountain lion. They then go on to discover a mother direwolf with the baby still nursing to the dead direwolf, and they find the stag's broken horn off in the direwolf's chest. I guess chest. Yeah. So at that point, they don't know what to do with the direwolf. They're getting ready to kill him. I think it was Theon that was suggesting that they kill or was getting ready to kill him when Jon Snow stops him and says, wait a minute, it's 5 of them, and it's 5 direwolves, and it's 5 Stark children. Right? At that time, we not necessarily, we're not aware that he's one of the Stark children. I don't think at that point. Maybe there was an allusion to it, but we're not aware that he is not one of the Stark children, but he did not count himself in that 5. Right. And ultimately, there winds up being a 6th direwolf who is the runt of the litter. And obviously that's when Theon says to Jon Snow, "Oh, that's yours. He's like you." Essentially,
what a fucking asshole, by the way.
Right.
Theon's such a goddamn asshole.
Right. I mean,
I remember I was looking at that shit. I was like, "That is a real punchable ass fucking face."
Be the asshole that you are, Theon. Like, you don't need to deserve that shit. Like, chill the fuck out, dude.
Right.
Exactly.
Hey,
so nigga, you're it's like, nigga, you're a fucking squire paralegal. Shut the fuck up.
Let's talk about how significant this moment is, though. Like, we have no fucking idea at this moment when Jon Snow says to Ned Stark, "Hey, wait, my nigga, keep these wolves," because I mean the wolves in episodes 1 and 2 obviously play a much more significant role than we realize that. If you've never watched the show, then you realize they're going to play by this decision alone. So from the time Ned chops off a motherfucker's head, they walk, see a dead stag, find a dead wolf, pick up the dead wolves to take to their babies. And he said, "You gonna raise these motherfuckers, you gonna take care of them." We have no idea how major that decision is going to be in just moments as it relates to his life and the lives of his children and the whole damn kingdom. So talk to me.
I think too, you even see symbolism in the dying of the stag and the mother direwolf. You know, symbolism in that shit, you know, to come, of course. But yeah, so you got the 5 pups. You have Jon Snow, who it's his idea. It's him, like you said, he is the one that he says Lord Stark. You know, and even in that, he doesn't call him father, you know, at least in that moment, it's like Lord Stark. So they don't, like you said, CJ, they don't really give you too much lean into you knowing at that point in time, if you haven't watched the show or read the books, that that's his son as well. So he recommends, hey, you know, this is a house sigil. It's like, this shit is almost meant to be. It's a sign from the gods type shit. Let them keep these puppies. And then, like he said, they see that last one, young Ghost with the red eyes. I ain't gonna lie, I watched this shit over again. I was lit just because Ghost is that motherfucker. But we'll get into that later. It was, like you said, though, that just the meaning, a lot of it was symbolic, but a lot of it was also like true to life and what was going on right then and there as far as the unity of that house, the growing of the kids. You see them grow together with the wolves. So a lot of that shit was symbolic, but it was also like real life too.
Well, like, but also, you know, like it was real life considering that they pointed that out when they saw a direwolf and say, well, shit, a direwolf ain't been this far south in how long? You know, like so what's going on? And then I just beheaded a motherfucker who could have probably told me the answer to that, you know. So oh well, you know, so much for that shit. And what we were also pointing out is that man, like Ghost is that motherfucker, man. Like, God damn, I love Ghost.
Man.
Ghost and these direwolves, period, grow so fucking fast. It's just unbelievable that these motherfuckers are just like not tested for some sort of PEDs at certain point. It's just like these motherfuckers eat you out of house and home, bro. I see why Ned was about to kill these little motherfuckers. It was like, yo, like I ain't about to take these little motherfuckers. We already kind of pitching pennies here.
Hey, man, and what Ned tell them? You feed them yourself, you train them yourself. They die, you bury them yourself. That's Ned though, always on that duty shit, man. That's Ned, bro.
Lakia said he beheaded him because he didn't go back to the wall. He was a deserter, right? And that was essentially a rule. If you desert the wall after, you know, taking an oath,
honor. That's the
of the Night's Watch.
Letter of the law.
It wasn't like that wasn't like Ned's rule. That wasn't no shit that he made up. That shit was in place for thousands of years since the Night's Watch was established. But him being the warden of the North, it was his duty to enforce that shit, you know. So he had to go out there and he had to swing the sword on that nigga, man.
That nigga Ned was 12 low key, is what we just
because he said 12 was low key. But you know what though? But it's a good rule if you think about it, because for one, when you make it up there to the fucking wall, you like get me the fuck out of here
immediately,
right? Immediately. For two, even though the White Walkers aren't necessarily in the front nor the back of their minds, these fucking wildlings are a fucking problem. And in wildlings south of the wall, they are ravaging and raping and fucking murdering people. So I mean, you know, so it's definitely a rule that Honorable Ned, you know, like felt like that was in the best interest of not only the the kingdom, but his house.
Yeah.
His house, his region, keeping all the people in his region safe, keeping those things at bay as much as he can.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, I mean, so within the first few minutes, like we see all of these things take place. We see all of this occur. And, we have, at that point in time, we don't necessarily have any idea that means, what all of this significance means. We see them kind of transition to, is it King's Landing that they go to then? I think it's King's Landing that they go to.
Not like immediately, like for the majority of this first episode, we're still in Winterfell.
Okay.
So like everything that we're seeing is happening in Winterfell and then around the Godswood of Winterfell. Like I think even in this episode, that first episode, they leave for a hunt. Like Ned, Rob, all the gallery, and they all go out and hunt and shit, fucking boars. We'll see that shit play in later, of course. But a lot of this shit is taking place. Like I don't even think they've hit the King's Road yet until we get into the episode. I think the name of episode 2 is the King's Road. So that's when we see them literally leaving to head to King's Landing. But the journey itself takes a month. So that's kind of where I talked about the timeline and how they're a little bit more subtle with the time jumps, because we see them get the wolves, we see the beheading, we see them get the wolves. And then within the next couple of minutes, literally of the episode, a month has passed. So you see Lady Catelyn, however the fuck you say it, out in the yard, and she's walking by. Bran little badass. Bran little badass is up, climbing up on one of the fucking towers, and he can see, the King's Guard and everybody coming in with King Rob. But you can also see his direwolf has gotten substantially bigger since the time when we just saw him, which was literally like 2 minutes prior. So in that time span, literally a month had passed, because it took about a month for them to get from King's Landing to Winterfell. So of course you're gonna see the same thing going back the other way in the next couple of episodes.
Right.
And so before there was before I guess they got on the King's Road to head to Winterfell, there was a scene of Jaime, because that's when we're introducing Jaime and
that's what Jaime and Cersei. That's what
Cersei, evil ass, talking during the observation of Jon Arryn, who is the hand of the king, who passed away under mysterious conditions.
I forgot about that whole thing. My bad.
Yeah, and then we also see the Silent Sisters with they fucking man, the Silent Sisters are goddamn. These motherfuckers, they are so efficient in their like duties that you don't even fucking notice them. I swear to God, it took me like fucking 2 rewatches to notice these motherfuckers just walking around and like
in this episode, right? Like
exactly. In this episode,
we've been seeing these motherfuckers since episode 1 and just now picking up on it. But
that's what I'm saying, right?
Because they're the Silent Sisters. They are serious about that.
That's how efficient they are, man. They're just in and out, bro. They don't pay no never mind. They ain't worried about y'all motherfuckers and these political machinations and all that shit. They don't give a
man, we just here to get rid of the dead, my boy.
But you see Jaime and Cersei obviously talking about something that's a secret.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do you think that Jon Arryn told anybody? And essentially what Jaime tells Cersei is, if he had told somebody, our heads would already be on fucking stakes already.
Right. So it's something grave when
exactly.
They talking about some real shit.
Which you see how cavalier Jaime is compared to Cersei. Cersei is like a fucking nervous wreck. She's like, this secret's out. We're fucking, and Jaime's like, we'll be dead. We would have been dead. We good.
Relax. That motherfucker Jaime was a motherfucking episode.
This is peak Jaime that we're seeing. This is like peak Lannister Jaime that we're seeing.
Correct.
Yeah,
we don't get this Jaime for long. Like we don't get that Jaime for a very long period of time with this show.
Yeah, this motherfucker was a dickhead. Like, major
King dickhead.
King dickhead.
He said
all we have to do is ask his sister.
Right. So as Jon Arryn dies, like that's when I guess word comes to the north that the king is going to head towards
Winterfell.
Why the fuck am I going blank? Towards Winterfell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. so he's heading towards. So they get a raven, and upon being made aware of this, Ned looks obviously away, and he says there's really only one reason why he would be coming this way. The king's hand just died, right? And so now he's coming to Winterfell because he wants Ned to become his hand, and Ned is having conversations and reservations with Cat. What's the significance of those reservations and conversations?
He knows the weight that's about to be put on him by Robert, since they were, young men, war buddies. Robert wound up being the king. Ned went back north to be the Warden of the North and Lord of Winterfell. And Jon Arryn was their father figure. So with his death, with the wisdom is gone from Robert, and he's like, I need somebody who's smart and can keep things straight. So he thinks of his boy, Ned, and he's like, we coming to see you. So get it ready for my visit. And Kat is like, that there's only one question he's asking you: if Jon Arryn is dead. And she's like, I really don't want you to go. But he's like, well, that's my duty. That's my, again, that duty thing, while it is good in some ways, duty will get you killed in Westeros.
Facts.
So,
yep.
Yeah, he's kind of a victim of his loyalty and his, nobility and shit like that. Like, get really, really early on that he feels extremely obligated to appease.
Well, and also, Jamie pointed out is that, like the Hand of the King, their days are long and their years are short, or some shit like that, he said, or their like their lives are short. And so that's one aspect. The other aspect is that one of the fucking few things that Kat said that is actually of some significance, in my opinion, because she's a total bitch, is that she was saying that the last time the Starks rode on, in orders of the king, it didn't turn out well, that was in regards to Ned's brother and his father. And so, which is essentially what started the war, like Robert's Rebellion. So, she pointed that out, and that's something that, like, I think that she was sort of, like she hit on the head about, even though, like I said, she's a total bitch, so I don't know. I don't give her too much credit. I just don't like Kat. I just don't like her, man. And I'm sorry, bro. Like, I know I'm supposed to like kind of have empathy for someone who felt like she married this super honorable person. He came back with a bastard son. Like, God damn, you stepped out one time. My bad,
But my problem with that is the fact that you mad at the kid.
Yeah.
You're mad at the kid for the kid didn't do that shit. The kid didn't. Right. John didn't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what pissed me off about Kat.
But the child is a daily reminder that my husband stuck his dick in somebody else.
I mean, she definitely had smoke for Jon Snow.
Man, she got big smoke for Jon, dog.
So I'm gonna say this. After they kind of let them know like these folks are coming and shit like that, they start getting the house ready.
Man, getting the house cleaned up, got the candles lit.
Wasn't that some black ass shit? That was some black shit, boy.
Listen, that was some nigga shit.
Listen, I'm like, Mama, why are you redoing the house? What the fuck? Why you buying new couch?
Hey, sent them niggas to the barbershop to shave.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Let me do the bath. Let me redo
cleaning up before the maid service got in, because you know how black folks gotta straighten up shit before
clean up before you clean up.
Right. They're like, man, we got to get this motherfucker ready. They say that motherfucker Tyrion love that motherfucking drink. I already love these hoes. What you mean? Man, we gotta have all of that shit ready. Get all that shit ready. Get all that shit ready. Pull out the good silverware, goddamn it, cause they on the way. And so they're hearing that the king is on the way, and and everything, and so they getting the house ready and shit. And I thought it was so interesting looking back again at the very first episode to see Robb Stark getting a shave at his neck. In that scene,
I didn't catch that.
Like, I mean, like they all are cleaning up, but it's Robb, it's Jon, and it's Theon, and they literally are just getting ready to get ready for the kings to arrive. And Jon Snow says to Robb, why is your mother so dead set on us getting pretty for the king? And you know, at that point, that's when you become really aware that ain't Jon Snow mama.
Right.
Sure.
But he is Ned's son because it's already been referenced. So I thought it was just interesting to see that and to wonder, hey, is that for, like, obviously, you know, for y'all that have watched this shit already, obviously we know what happens down the road, but to look back at it now, I'd be wondering, is everything a fucking Easter egg on Game of Thrones? Like,
yeah,
did they know when they were writing that scene in season 1, episode 1, what they were gonna do to us a few seasons later? They already fucking know that.
Oh yeah, well, especially those few seasons. Yeah, I mean, like, because of the fact that the books were pretty much written, except for, I think, what was it? Feast of Crows wasn't written by season 1. I think the other, the first 3 books were written, and then
I think it was the last one, because I think Feast for Crows was like 2006. What show came out like 2011?
Okay,
I think it was
okay. So Dance of Dragons then. Wait, what? No, what was the?
Dance of Dragons. I think it was
Dance of Dragons. All right, yeah. And so that one wasn't written just yet. It was in the process of being written.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like they knew a lot of this setup. Like they knew the shit, like the Red Wedding. They knew that by episode by them filming the pilot episode.
Yeah. So Bran is climbing shit, you know, and she's telling him, like, stay your little ass down. I told you to sit your little ass down somewhere.
Get your ass down somewhere, bro.
And promise me you won't get your ass back up there.
And knew he was lying when he said he would.
He's like, I promise. Sure fucking thing, Mom.
Right.
So I mean, this is the first instance of fucking around. You know what I mean? Which is later. Right. We know that finding out is on the way, which is often the case on Game of Thrones. And so like we see these things happening, and it's really hard to watch this shit and not like time jump in your mind, because if you've seen it, like, you're now looking at it differently. You're looking at those conversations differently than if you're looking at it with a fresh set of eyes for the first time. But it's like everything that's being, like, I can tell that us rewatching this shit is gonna make me rewatch this shit so much more closely than I did the first time.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And you can also, you know what though, and they did such a great job with this pilot, man, because they had so much shit to set up so many characters. Like, we haven't really even been talking about Sansa and Arya like that. True. You know, and you can see the relationship and the differences between both of them. You know, you automatically say that, damn, I really fuck with Arya. And damn, I'm really not fucking with Sansa, you know.
Yeah.
So like you really like you can, and I told myself, and I was like, God damn, like Arya from the jump, you just rooting for her, and you could tell she's on to some shit greater than what her station is supposed to be in this world. You know, and obviously we see a lot of that same kind of correlation with House of Dragon, but you know, like I thought that was interesting too.
Thanks, man. Like that was you hit on it. Like that was a big scene. Like they were making fun of Bran for not being able to shoot an arrow.
Yeah,
Jon and Robb were making fun of him for not being able to shoot an arrow. Arya comes up behind him and shoots the fucking arrow dead set bullseye. And so you see really early on, like Arya is not into all of that prissy shit. Like she is like she wants to be a warrior in a lot of the similar ways that there's the highlighted that Rhaenyra very early on shows us that her interest is in more of a warrior spirit than the type of spirit that appeals to Sansa, a more feminine, you know, traditional approach to it.
So in essence, the 5 or the 6 Stark children are different archetypes. So you have Rob, who is the oldest dutiful son. You have Sansa, who is the starry-eyed princess. Oh, everybody loves me, kind of. I'm a pretty princess thing. You have Arya, who is your tomboy. You have Bran, who is sensitive but daring because he'll climb up that building. And you have Rickon, who's just a baby. What, 5, 6 years old?
A non-fucking zigzagger.
Yeah.
A fucking unathletic, worthless twerp who can do a little bit of green scene.
That boy did not see the game tape from Damon running through the battlefield. He did not watch the game tape.
Bruh,
he did not.
That nigga Rickon was definitely the Judy Winslow of the crew. I didn't know who that nigga was for 5 seasons. I didn't know who that motherfucker was to the Battle of the Bell. What's this little nigga?
I didn't even know his name till he died. I don't think I knew his name till he died.
Oh God!
Who the fuck is he? Talking about his brother.
And then you have Jon Snow, who is the outsider. On the other side, you have Ned, the dutiful father. You have Kat, the dutiful wife.
That really some nigga shit, though.
Yeah.
Like Ned and Jon Snow and all that shit.
Yeah.
Nigga shit.
Then you have Uncle Benjen, who's rolling in.
Yes.
So
Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Uncle Ben on some nigga shit too. Like, why did we never found out like why Uncle Ben went to the wall in the first place? Like, why did you get sent? You was of House Stark.
Let me hypothesize for you then. So in the Stark family, okay, so there was the oldest brother who was killed with the father. All right. Then there was Lyanna, the daughter. Then there was Ned, and then there was Benjen. Benjen is the third son, or in this case, the second living son. He ain't got no lands to inherit.
No lands and no titles.
Yeah.
Take care to the
you
wall,
go to the wall, brother.
Yeah. He went from the window to the wall, goddamn it, and he was at that motherfucker.
They kicked his ass out the house when he was 18.
Right.
But he made his way in the world. He's first ranger. He's top dog at the wall. He comes down to see his family.
Either you go to school, you get a job, you go in the military.
We having a cookout, bro. Come on down. Come on down to where it's 49 degrees instead of minus 49 degrees.
Alvina Satterfield said, "Who got the body? The silent sisters. The silent sisters got the body."
So
y'all so goddamn.
I didn't really take notice of until rewatching it, and their banter and the significance of them kind of developing a relationship at this early stage of the show, and that is the relationship between Tyrion and Jon Snow. I appreciated that coming back this time around, and it's one of the places where we get to see Tyrion's wit and his easy way of connecting to whomever he is talking to. So when Jon Snow says, what you mean? How can you relate to me? I'm a bastard, and he says all dwarves are bastards to their father. I was like, oh, okay, Tyrion. So he just has this way with people, and like coming right off of House of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and how we talked about Rhaenyra not having any ability to connect with the people and kind of know how to move and know who's flaky, and Tyrion just has such a good judge of people, and I guess that's something he's had to develop as a little person and having to move within the circles that he's in. So I appreciated that this time around.
For sure.
Y'all want to jump into that dynamic?
Yeah, again, the Tyrionic witticisms, never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used against you. What was the other one he said later on? My mind, books to my mind are like a whetstone to a sword.
Yeah.
You know, Tyrion always dropping knowledge. All you
that's
gotta
how
do
he
is
made
listen, and you know what it is.
Right. He said
and so, but the first time we see Tyrion is that he's in a bed full of hoes. So I mean,
exactly. Drinking. He was drinking while getting head. He literally was both of the things they said he was gonna be.
I didn't say he wasn't a party dude.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean don't have a good time living. But you got to be smart about your living. So I'm gonna go over here and get some hoes. I'm talking like I'm Tyrion.
When Celestia said she was the relationship, when she went back and rewatched it, I thought she was about to say Tyrion in the hoe, not Tyrion in Snow. I was about to be like, yeah. Tyrion
I was like, oh yeah, for sure. Had to look back to make sure my wife wasn't listening. Like, yeah, the hoes.
Two-handed Jamie was a wild boy.
Yeah, and so Jamie bought him some more hoes so he could get over his thing and
speed it up, my boy.
Back up to the
speed that thing up, my boy.
We got places to be.
So get waxed as much as you want. Do whatever you want to do. Here's some more. So if that one get tired, trade it in, and but then you got to be showing up for the family dinner tonight. So,
but in all seriousness, no, with Tyrion and old girl, that was the beginning of something that we do see coming later with that particular whore. What's the fucking name?
Roz.
That's Roz.
Yeah.
Roz.
So
that's Roz. That's the main one right there, man.
That's his bottom. That's the bottom. That's the bottom chick. That's the ride or die.
That's why I thought Celestial was going with that. I was like, yeah, the hoes and shit.
Yeah, Roz. She's a talk of the town, goddamn it.
Yeah, she was gawking that motherfucker up while he was getting his drink on.
He said that gawking
3,000. Hey, she had good conversation too, though. She talked her shit. Like,
she was smart.
Sure. I heard the imp was a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you hear the imp don't like that motherfucking word imp? Then she was like, well, imp. Like she kept going with the shit. Like I appreciated that, but.
But just and so this is when obviously the Lannister clan and with the Baratheon, because all them goddamn children of Lannisters shows up to Winterfell, and that's when we're introduced to the great drunken Robert Baratheon who it was quite funny when they pull up, when everybody sort of pulls up and shit. For one, Arya's running around with the goddamn helmet on and shit like that, right? Just completely causing, just doing some nigga shit on her own. And then Robert Baratheon, he does the nigga shit of having to need assistance by stepping out the horse.
Get off his horse
with that.
Right,
with that little stepper. Well, the fuck that shit was. They pulled that shit out immediately. They were like,
because they already knew. Listen, whose ever job that was to have that fucking step ready, like, nigga, have a step ready. I don't want to have to call your bitch ass. If I got to call you, nigga, your head is coming off type shit.
Thanks.
Nigga knew they had that step there for Rob, dog. His fat ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got out the horse, and first thing he hollered, Ned got fat. Ned said,
that shit was funny, though.
Yeah.
Hey, Joan went ahead and said Ned is a terrible choice for Han. His whole honor thing includes his assumption that everyone else feels that way, which is what gets him killed. And I agree. In addition to the fact that, for the most part, all of the good hands we've ever seen have been more thinkers than they are warriors. I mean, maybe it might be a good example of one that was both a warrior and maybe Jorah. Was Jorah ever a hand? Was he? No. Was he? He was never a hand. So Tyrion
was a hand.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't recall any hands that were ever really like the fighter. And
right.
I mean, Ned wasn't. That's not to say that Ned wasn't intelligent, but Ned was definitely too.
Ned wasn't very intelligent. I'll fucking say it.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll be the one to fucking say it.
He was too green, man.
He wasn't a thinker.
Yeah, he wasn't necessarily. Maybe he had the capacity for intelligence, but as Carlton said, he wasn't a thinker. He didn't contemplate like next moves.
And Kat was, Kat was peeping that shit. She was telling him very early on, like, bro, like, y'all gonna send, once the, well, I'm jumping ahead, but yeah, so these motherfuckers arrive, and it ain't long before shit starts to motherfucking hit the fan. Robert Baratheon obviously makes jokes with Ned, and he immediately dismisses Cersei. And she like, "Yo, nigga, we been riding for a motherfucking month. Let's go to sleep." He like, "Fuck that, I want to go to the crypt right now." And we immediately see the dynamics of the relationship between Robert, and at this time, I don't think they've named Ned's sister, but it's obvious that he loved Ned's sister. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, it was not until that fucking moment that I realized how dangerous it would have been for somebody to know who the fuck Jon Snow really was. It was not until that moment. Like,
for real.
If the fucking king who loved your mama and hated Targaryens knew that you were the fucking progeny,
well, especially hated Jon Snow's father. Like,
exactly,
I mean, like,
hated
he
his
hated
father.
Targaryens, but he hated Rhaegar. I mean, Rhaegar was a nigga that he just despised.
That nigga said he dream about killing that nigga every night.
Right.
I mean,
so it would
have
have
been different kind of hate.
The nigga dead already.
So like
he killed him.
You dream about killing that nigga every night that you kill.
So like I will tell y'all this, y'all. Season 1, episode 1 and 2 made me appreciate season 8 a little bit more. I know. But what I'm saying is, going back and looking at that shit again made me be like, oh, that's why that's why Ned was held that shit down the way that he did, because there would have been nowhere on Earth Jon Snow would have been able to go, or in Westeros, in the Seven Kingdoms, that Jon Snow could have gone and not have the target on him. If the fucking king himself would want your head at just the thought of your daddy and your mama having been together when he loved her when she was alive. So like that made me have a different type of appreciation. So they're having that conversation down in the dank ass basement and shit. And
weird ass place.
Yeah, right. This nigga Robert Baratheon is talking about how he hates Targaryens. We don't even know, like, at that point in time, we don't know what the fuck a Targaryen is. And Ned says, but all of them are dead. And then that nigga says, not all of them. Jumps to Dany. And
that bitch!
Viserys third of his name. Let's talk to me, y'all.
Goat number 2. Go ahead, Carl.
All I'm gonna say is, before we even get into Khaleesi, there will be no slander tolerated. I support Daenerys Stormborn and any and all atrocities committed. I don't give a fuck about King's Landing. Fuck them people. Drogon should have kept burning that bitch down. Okay, never mind. But yeah, so we jump over we jump over to Pentos. Right now, Daenerys and her older brother Viserys are across the narrow sea. They were escaped. Mad King Viserys, or no, goddamn Ares. Right name? Right goddamn Targaryen?
Yeah,
I think.
Ares.
The Mad fucking King, anyway. He knew his demise was coming. He knew his demise was coming. He helps his youngest children, and I think wife at the time, to escape King's Landing, which we see them across the narrow sea in Pentos. We see Viserys, who is like, what, at this point in time, goddamn Leslie, what, like the 5th or 6th Viserys at this point?
I think officially the 3rd, I want to say.
Yeah.
3rd,
so,
yeah.
We know, like,
but it's probably like two or three more other motherfuckers.
We know George and them goddamn Targaryens like recycling them goddamn names. So
thanks.
But
I gotta say this
you're seeing literally at this time the last 2 Targaryens in existence in this time.
Rhaegar said, "You know the name of the king your bitch chose."
You feel me? Man, you really did.
Straight out the Mac. Straight out the Mac.
Facts.
We can handle this like some men, or we can get into some gangster shit. What's happening? You know what I'm saying?
I told the bitch, no money.
Stick yourself, Tony. Stick yourself, man.
He wanted the honey. All I wanted is the Monday.
That was my mother, man. That was my mother. I love that woman. Sorry, y'all. We got off on a blaxploitation tangent. With the Mac. Brother's gonna work it out. My bad. We back like, you know what I'm saying? Shit. We back, y'all. But yeah, basically, man, this nigga Viserys III was like, I'm fixing to sell. The only thing I got left, because I've been waiting 17 years for the motherfucking throne. It's my time. It's my turn. The shit he told Khaleesi, she wasn't Khaleesi at that time. The shit he told Dany is some of the wildest shit I have ever heard in all of the seasons. I mean, listen, this
nigga was so bad, yo.
He was so mean to his sister. Before we get to,
if you want to see a classic sexual groomer, that's Viserys III. The way he tormented her, the way he treated her, the way he spoke to her. You know, now
he speaks to everybody. He's just one of these motherfuckers that like, he was just like, yo, when are they going to kill this motherfucker? Like,
right, that nigga was definitely a nigga that got on my nerves early.
ASAP,
first time. The first time.
Even the shit that he was talking to, like, what's your buddy name? Like that was hosting them in fucking Pintos.
Oh, Illyrio.
Yeah. Illyrio. And Illyrio feeding him that bullshit, and he's just soaking all that shit in. He's just like, I am the nigga. Yeah, you're right, goddamn.
Illyrio smooth with that shit though. That nigga, he said some. I forgot what he said, but he said some slick
like
shit.
Like they fucking sing songs of your, like they sing songs of your triumphant return. And all that
nigga so smooth with that shit. He said some slick shit that pissed Viserys off, and Viserys was like, "Nigga, what?" And he was like, "Nah, like I ain't saying like that. Like like nigga, kings be saying some shit sometimes, and I was just saying that you might say some shit." Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. Illyrio moonwalked off that shit so fast, like, man, my bad. Stroking his ego the whole fucking time.
And Viserys to not know anything about the Dothrakis, like, and for him to just expect these motherfuckers, he doesn't know the language, he doesn't know the customs, he doesn't know any of the players, he doesn't know how they operate, he doesn't know battle strategy, he doesn't know their battle strategy, he doesn't know shit, he doesn't know how to acquire ships to sail over, he doesn't know anything about like the fact that their horses don't, like if their horses can't drink the water, they don't fuck with it. Like he doesn't know anything. And for him to just be so fucking hubris, it's just like, yo, I hated that nigga. Like I didn't know how much I hated him until I rewatched this shit.
Yes,
yeah. I hated that nigga, but I didn't know how much I hated him.
He was definitely
sure his name was not Viserys Trump and not Viserys Targaryen.
Listen, he was definitely white privilege personified. Like that nigga was definitely all of that. Like, obviously he was highborn and everything. And even though it's been 17 years since all of that shit popped off, he still, believes that motherfuckers, gonna worship the ground that he walks on. And to the extent that, I gave you my sister, so when it's time for me to, like the Dothraki don't give a fuck about none of that shit.
And that's the problem. Like he over there trying to enforce fucking Westerosi law and custom and tradition on fucking like they don't.
Yeah, they
don't know about that shit, much less give a fuck about that shit you talking about, dog. Like they don't care about your name.
Nigga, if you don't shut the fuck up and eat this horse meat, like nigga, they fucking at the wedding. What you mean, nigga? They fucking on the dance floor. Like it's like that scene in Don't Be a Menace. Like it's some real freaks on the dance floor.
And Illyrio said if it's not at least 3 deaths at a wedding, it's not a good wedding.
But this motherfucker talk about he want his crown. Well, baby, you gonna get it soon, goddamn it. So, I mean that. But another thing that I peeped that was interesting was even in that weird first scene where he's trying to hype Dany up about, hey, I need you to be perfect today. I need you to do this, and that. She walks into the bathtub and it's fucking steaming hot. And the maids yell out, my queen, or
hot.
It's too hot, and she just stands there and like
boiling.
Right. And so that's like we probably make nothing of it. We probably just think to ourselves,
the first time I saw the shit, I didn't think anything of it, obviously. But my initial thoughts was she liked that shit hot. She want to burn like his touch off of her. That's what I was thinking. Like,
okay.
I was thinking like, okay, this water's so fucking hot. This nigga done touched me and fondled me. I don't want his fucking hands on me. Like, but that was before, of course, I knew, like, later on, she's the fucking unburnt. So, like, she's really in that shit, really proving to herself, like, fire, hot, water, whatever can't kill the fucking dragon.
Right. Like so that
who she is right then. I don't think she even knows that she is, you know what I'm saying, has that gift or whatever yet.
Oh, but trust me, she's starting to find this shit out.
I think that's her experiment with it, or them at least showing us on screen for the first time that she is like she's testing this shit. Like pun intended, she's testing the waters, so to speak. So like I think she kind of is starting to understand, like, I don't feel no pain, I don't feel heat, you know, or some shit like that. But I think that's just them showing us that shit for the first time. And then, of course, we see it again and again throughout this season and then the show, of course.
And then we're introduced also to Ser Jorah Mormont initially. He brings Khaleesi some books from the realm and says these are history books and these are important. Want you to read them.
Of your people.
Right? Of your people. So like this is it might be the Song of Fire and Ice shit. I don't know. Like
like the fucking House of Dragon shit.
Right. Like it might be like
he said songs and histories. So you know, you don't know. Exactly. He did say songs and histories. So.
Right. And so like he brings this to her, and I think at this point in time, that's also around the time when Khal Drogo brings her the 3 dragon eggs. Is this the same time?
So that was Ilario who brought her the dragon eggs.
Yeah, Ilario brought the dragon eggs.
Yeah,
okay.
Brought the dragon eggs.
Brought her the dragon. Okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the significant? Like, is that significant at that? I mean, obviously we know it's significant down the road, but is it significant in that moment that she's?
I think so, because even like you even see like her, even without knowing what's coming again and watching the shit for the first time and not knowing what's happening or what's to come. Like you can see her immediately gravitate to the eggs. You had already heard her brother kind of mention or speak about like the dragon. So we know that there's some significance to this dragon shit. We just don't know, I think, exactly what or the extent at that point.
Also the motherfuckers are expensive. And that is a potential like bargaining tool for maybe buying ships. You know, like I mean, I'm thinking about like actual like like kind of real world wholesale or resale and shit. So, like that's the potential as well. Because when Viserys later on in the episodes was thinking about escaping with the dragon eggs, and Jorah like kind of confronted him, was like, "Nah, nigga, you leaving these motherfuckers here. You can go, but you leave these motherfuckers here." Because Viserys like, I can buy some ships with just one of these motherfuckers, let alone three.
I will say at that point in time, like my first time watching when she received the dragon eggs. I thought it was just literally like fucking jewelry called dragon eggs. Yeah. I thought it was a bauble or something. I didn't think that, even though I had seen fucking zombies already, I didn't contemplate that dragons were going to exist in this universe. Like at that point in time, like, until fucking I saw a dragon, I didn't believe that they were real. And I kind of wonder if that was the mindset that the Starks and everybody else had about the fucking White Walkers. Like until you actually are confronted or see this shit, like it's cool to tell stories or hear stories about it, but they ain't have fucking Google back then. So, it's literally, 300 years ago, they were talking about how dragons used to roam the earth and shit like that. But like, yeah, nigga, whatever, but in real life, this shit was the truth. So we'll go back to, when we get back to the kingdom, Jon Snow is basically asking Benjen, can he go to the wall with him? And Sansa's asking, when can she marry Joffrey? She's super fixated, and she's pleading with her mom to convince her dad to take the job, and shit like that. So we're kind of seeing people's paths kind of start to get set. Can y'all kind of talk about that kind of where these decisions are beginning to be made that are going to affect the rest of the story down the road? Either anybody can jump in. Like y'all niggas don't not all at once, goddamn it.
like I thought Warrior Queen of Celeste was about to say so. I was like, all right,
I was trying to give somebody else a chance because I feel like I'm
oh, get your talk on. Shit. We ain't trying to over talk you.
Okay. So when you come back and they're starting to pack to leave Winterfell, and Ned has decided to take the job, and Jon wants to go with Uncle Benjen, and because he can't stay there with Catelyn, he sure can't stay there. So that's his only other option, really, because his father can't take him to the capital with him because he's the bastard. They haven't legitimized him. He's not Jon Stark.
How'd you feel about that? What the shit that she did though? That felt like some real stepmama ass, like mean stepmama ass shit though. Like, stay your bastard ass outside and play with that goddamn dummy.
Right.
Don't bring your ass in here with the queen and the king, cause we ain't finna have you disrespected. Having them feeling disrespected by having a bastard sitting at the table with them.
What's the rule number one? Don't embarrass the family. The bastard embarrasses the family. So you got to stay hidden. You got to
just by being there.
Stay in your room. We'll send some food up.
I think it was like, the fact that Jon said it wasn't affecting him, but obviously he was beating the shit out of that dummy. Like, like
the station was clearly, it was.
And that's when Tyrion dropped that knowledge on him. Wear it like armor, and that way nobody can use it against you.
At least you're a high-born bastard, And that was one of the things that Tyrion, which has made me just like, I was like, okay, this motherfucker's different because he acknowledges his privilege, even though he's fucking considered marginalized, and I thought that was interesting, right? Because that whole speech with Jon, not only about him just repeating the word bastard, it was like, wear this a badge of honor, but you're also a high-born motherfucker. Like, you got rights and privileges that 99% of the people around us don't have. And he's going to even furthermore highlight that when they go to the wall, like when he's amongst rapers and thieves and shit like that.
Right.
So Tyrion hit that shit over the head with Jon, which I think kind of took with him throughout the entire character arc of Jon Snow.
Definitely.
Because definitely like that kind of hit home about like the wildlings and shit like that. It kind of made him become like kind of aware of his situation and how lucky he was, even if he was treated unfairly.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely good to see. It was dope to see their bond, and to see him try to help Jon, even to understand, like, look, bro, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but nigga, use it as a strength and not a weakness. Like, you can figure this shit out. And when he was talking to him he talked to him about the wall later, but the conversation with Ned and Benjen took place. Benjen lets Ned know like that the dude that whose head he cut off was a tough dude.
Was a tough motherfucker.
Yeah, he was like, and the other two motherfuckers ain't came back yet. So he was like, but he was crazy. Like, Ned was like, needed to be convinced that the dude was crazy when he was talking about seeing White Walkers, rather than it just being, the truth. But Benjen was like, well, look, bro, I don't know if it was or if it wasn't. All I know is a weird ass time, because direwolves are south of the wall, as they never are. And now you're being asked to be the hand of the king, and all of these things are happening. So, it's a possibility.
Like in just fast, like in just at that dinner, there's a lot of shit taking place. It's first off the conversation between shit like Cersei and Sansa, which all these like kind of innocent questions, and then asking if she's bled yet, just off the whim type shit, right? Which goes to show you about how disgusting of a person Cersei is. And then there was the whole Robert essentially like just fondling with women right in front of Cersei. So you kind of said, God damn, this nigga's wilding. Like, okay, Bobby B, he don't waste no time, and he lets every motherfucker know his ass is just like, fuck it. Like, yes, I am fucking with other hoes, like right in front of your face, and you're just going to sit there and take that shit. And then there's the Sansa and Arya dynamic and relationship with Arya throwing food at Sansa while Sansa's trying to look pretty in front of Joffrey. And so we see all these different personalities kind of play out amongst the dinner. And not only that, but just the conversation between Cersei and Kat, and like just that little kind of back and forth about how Kat is trying to be, as polite as possible, and Cersei is kind of undermining just this whole entire northern culture and shit like that. And she's just like, y'all motherfuckers are clearly beneath me.
Right.
Yeah.
She definitely had the stank face.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just the stank face. While Robert is just literally just like fondling women right in front of her.
I mean, one of the main things that they say about, or one of the main saying is the king shits and the hand wipes. That was like really apparent. That
yes, exactly. And so we knew. And so we knew the type of person, type of king that Robert is, in a sense, is that somebody who just wants to get fucked up and fuck with these, fuck with these women. He doesn't care about anything else, and you can tell from the bat. But I like that kind of like that dinner scene was very. It kind of showed how each character, was, especially at the time, and how much they've grown since then.
Yeah,
or went down in Cersei's case, But
I think another important point was the face to face between Ned and Jaime.
Yes,
and Jaime was like, "Well, when you get to King's Landing, we'll have a big tournament for you, and you can fight there." And Ned's like, "No, I don't fight unless it's for real, because I don't want my opponent to know what I can do until I do it."
Yeah. He let his ass know, like, look, I done been in
like, which is fucking Aemon, right? Like what is what Aemon was about, right? It's like, all right, like,
I fight for real.
I don't fight for play. I don't play like that.
Yeah, he said, I fight for real. I'm down for war if it's because of that. But, so I appreciate it. But yeah, Jaime was like, he was like flexing with everybody though. Like it was like he was giving the LDE. You know what I mean? So like he was definitely doing it. He did it with Jon Snow. He pushed up on Jon Snow, talking shit about Jon going to the wall and not having any kids.
And he was the first one to kind of let him know, be like, yo, I don't know if you know what the wall is about.
Right.
Like, you sure you want to go in that motherfucker?
You're like, all right, then go to the wall then, nigga.
Hey, have fun, nigga.
So after all of that kind of goes down, there's a raven that is sent. Was it a messenger or was it a raven? It was a raven, right?
It was a messenger.
Okay, so it was too fucking important to send a raven. All right, so they had a messenger to send her a note. It was from her sister saying that Jon Arryn was murdered by the Lannisters and the king is in danger. Talk to me about the significance of that at that point.
Well, we all know that her sister, once we see her, she's batshit crazy.
She's touched, as Tyrion would say. She's a little touched.
No, that shit crazy. I said what I said.
Her and her son was off
her and her son, who's 9 years old and breastfeeding. But that's another. That's more therapy for another time. So her note is earnest and real, and her panic is real, and so they go back to the Vale, and. So, because she reads it and then she's like, and throws it in the fire. And they're like, well, what you doing? Because it's the Maester and Ned. And so, she runs it down and she's like, don't leave, don't go, don't go, don't go. And Ned, duty, honor, whatever. You ain't the Marines. Sit your ass down.
Ned was definitely duty bound. And, he didn't know how to say no to the king. And I can imagine that it was fucking tough to the idea of saying no. But the king acknowledged, he like, look, I know what I'm putting you through, but you're a loyal friend and you're the last loyal friend I got. And this is after he learns that, or at least, now has a reason to suspect that the king's life really may be in danger. So, I'm gonna go be close to you.
And also with this letter of them of John Aaron's wife, goddamn, what's her name?
Lysa.
Yeah, Lysa, crazy ass. Writing that letter and sending it to Winterfell. We know from the previous interaction between Jaime and Cersei that they didn't kill John Aaron. And so, when I first watched this, even my first viewing of this, I was thinking to myself, well, shit, who in the fuck killed this nigga, right? Yeah. And so, like, that's what I was kind of thinking to myself the whole time. And I remember even during this rewatch, like, that's sort of one of the things that stuck in my head. And so I was thinking to myself, okay, there's another player somewhere here that wants these two factions to go to war. And, later we kind of find out who it is and the reason why.
Right.
But I mean, like, at the time, there was definitely a lot of brainstorming in my head when I first watched this.
Right. Yeah, I was definitely trying to figure out who the fuck killed him too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew who had a reason to kill him. I mean, like later on we learned who had a reason to kill him. And that they are capable of doing whatever it takes to cover up their tracks. And so we can really just jump right into that. Jump might not be the best word to get into what we're about to talk about, but yeah. So Bran takes his climbing ass back up the motherfucking same wall that his mom told him not to go up again. And in doing so, he winds up climbing up and seeing Jaime and Cersei in Pound Town, literally. And so Cersei panics and Jaime walks to the window where Bran is standing outside of the window. He asks Bran, "How old are you?" Bran says, "I'm 10. And he looks at Cersei and says, "The things I do for love," and proceeds to push Bran out the motherfucking window to what he believes is his death. But Bran didn't die. Talk to me. What did that scene? I know. Talk to me about the first time you saw that scene, man.
Oh, yeah,
let's talk about the first time you saw it, not this time. The first time you saw it.
Okay, the first time I saw it, that level of cruelty. I hope that comes back on you triple.
Yeah.
And through the seasons, it came back on him in waves. I mean, and them waves was like tsunami sized. Because he got knocked all the way down and he got real humble.
Yeah.
And by season 7?
Yeah.
8. He got real humble. It took a while, but he kept getting knocked. But that takes a singular, almost sociopathic thinking. The things I do for love, boop, and send a child flying out the window. That kind of psychopathy. I can't. I'm sorry.
The first time I saw that shit, I was like, episode 2, let's go. Yo.
Yeah.
Niggas are killing kids. I was like, yo, these are, because that was like the second kid that they fucking, the Wildling kid was fucking dead in the first scene. And then Bran, like, and I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers are killing, because before that, the Winterfell scenes especially was like a little bit more of a fucking medieval Full House or some shit, right? It was just like little kids running around and bow and arrows and dinners and fucking, and little jabs back and forth, and Tyrion was dealing with a whole two. But other than that, like, there was a certain innocence, except for obviously the White Walker shit. There was a certain innocence throughout this episode. And so for them to push Bran, I was like, hurry up, let's go. Episode 2, because like this shit is different and then like any other show that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was shook. I literally was like, so this is what we doing? We killing kids? Like, okay. I wasn't ready. And that let me know who we were dealing with when it came to the Lannisters. That was like, okay, so that's who these people are. They have no scruples. It's going down. they have each other's backs at all costs, literally all costs.
That nigga was having his sister's back at that time, and so that was what the fuck. That's what threw me the fuck. I will tell you that was more shocking to me. That nigga beating his sister from the back was much more shocking to me than that nigga pushing him out the fucking window after he was caught doing that. Like, so for me, I'm like, I think that was, I'm like, you know, I heard the moaning, so I'm like, okay, what the fuck going on up in that window? When that little nigga peeks in the window and he sees them two motherfuckers, I'm like, whoa. That's what they want John Arryn to find out. Like, okay. Okay. That's making sense.
I mean, you can even contrast that scene with Jaime and Cersei to, let's say, Dany's wedding beach night evening, you know. And you know, she's just standing there crying. She's just standing there crying. Yep. You know, he's like, no. Yeah. He's like, is that the only word you know? No. And just, you know, taking her clothes off. And then it's, in the words of that great American poet, 50 Cent, face down, ass up.
So, hey.
Well, you know, if we move on episode 2 about that shit, because there's more scenes in relation to that opening sex scene between Dany and Drogon. But like, that was rape. You know, that shit was rape. Yeah. Right? Like let's call it, even in episode 2, until Dany takes control, you know, like through means that were taught to her. You know, even when she was looking at the dragons as they were having sex, that shit was like, that shit was kind of jarring, those sex scenes.
Yeah.
Because that was rape. I mean, like, even if they're married, that shit doesn't make any difference. That was rape.
That's true. Like, I mean, and that's actually something that we encounter quite a bit in games. We will encounter quite a bit in Game of Thrones down the road, but definitely seeing her seeing her experience these moments all the way down to when she was initially telling her brother she didn't want to go, to her obviously having reservations when she was walking towards Drogo, to all of those moments. There was nothing pleasurable about that. She had no desire to take part in that. And you then see how early on women are treated, like in a lot of instances treated like property, right? To be passed along for the purpose of leverage and negotiating deals. So this is how episode 2 starts. Y'all want to get into it at all, or you feel like we covered that? Or
well, I mean, they're on a long journey, the Dothraki horde, and apparently she is not a horsewoman, so you know, her hands all toe up, she's all sore, and about 3 or 4 maids have to help her get off the horse and, you know, put salve on her hands and stuff and try to clean her up. And you know, as she's talking to the maids and you know, they're relaying the little bits of information that they know. You know, the moon was a dragon egg and it cracked because it came too close to the sun, and a dragon flew out. And you know, then she learns, you know, different things from Dorea, who is the one that's really doing most of the talking. The other two are like, this is known. I'm like, oh, y'all can just go away. And you know, and she explains how she was brought up in the pleasure houses and you know, and her life. And when she got put out on the stroll at 12, she went to the pleasure house at 9. She was put on the stroll at 12, I think she said.
Yes, she did. She said that. She was like, you know, I went at 9, but I ain't get out there in them streets until I was 12. So
like, what?
She was like, girl, relax. I was chilling till I was 12. Fuck. Like, what?
Yeah, y'all motherfuckers live some hard ass lives.
Damn.
Yeah. So and then her teaching how to make love in a different style, you know, instead of, you know, Khaleesi, are you a slave? do you want to make love like a slave? Then you make him, he can be the call out there, but you make him know who you are in here. So again, laying it out that in the bedroom, you know, this is your place. This is where you are the boss. And so as she's coming out of that extreme timidity that we saw in the first episode when Viserys was saying all kinds of crazy things, I would let all 40,000 of his, you know, riders and their horses fuck you.
Right.
If it meant I'm gonna get my army.
Bro, that shit was wild. I
mean,
like,
you know, a party is a party till it's ran all through, but damn, come on.
Yes, I was like, damn,
I was like,
the fucking worst.
Right. So I was like, bro, it's the dynamics between brothers and sisters on this show is fucking weird. Like, you know, like, and they're the only two people on this show that look like that, you know, like these uniquely blonde, strange, very pale people. And so, you know, like, to our understanding, there's not many more of them in existence, but his desire to be king is his thirst for the crown is so bad that, you know, that's the extent, like they are the only two left. And that's the way that he's willing to treat her in order to be in position to, you know, have what it is that he wants, which is the Iron Throne.
And likewise, if we go, and I hope you don't mind.
No, you
go back across to Winterfell before the king's people get on the road, and Tyrion wakes up in the pen, and Joffrey's standing there trying to laugh at him, and Tyrion slaps him 3 times, and he's like,
shit out of him. Slapped the shit out of him. But let's talk about why he slapped him. Let's talk about why he slapped him, because I love that shit. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was good TV. Goddamn it. I rewound.
Joffrey said,
yes, I rewinded that shit.
Said to Tyrion, that nigga said that motherfucker said something like that motherfucker said he was like, oh uncle, that's like when those bitches are more attractive than the ones you usually fucking wake up to or some shit.
Bro, and there was some good slaps. They was like, you know, he cupped the hand with that shit too. When he slapped him, it was like, oh shit, that
was full contact.
He was like, I'm gonna tell my pop, shut the fuck up. Like
he was, I don't give a damn. I slap her ass too.
And the reason he was slapping him was because he was like, yo, you need to go and say to the Stark family, like, I'm praying for y'all. Like, you know, your son is in my thoughts and shit like that.
And he was like, I ain't saying none of that shit. I don't care about these people. I'm the prince. They should be saying stuff to me.
Right.
And, you know, and that's
the Hound tells number 3. I think that the Hound told Tyrion that he was gonna remember that shit.
He's gonna remember that shit because he'll be king one day. But this was the first time that we actually saw Joffrey being a complete and total asshole, and that's when because I remember before that he was just like kind of a little unassuming in the first episode. Yeah. This episode and that scene was the first time I was like, oh, okay, this like this motherfucker might be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, you saw that shit.
That motherfucker wasn't gonna take long to be a problem.
So what I want to compare in those two scenes is between Joffrey and Viserys III. If you have to say who you are like that, then you really not.
Oh, those are the famous words of Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, if you have to say I'm the prince or I'm the future king.
Yeah, and then you're no king. Yeah. Yeah, that's hey man, like shit, like Tywin had them goddamn gems, man. That's my nigga. We gonna get into them later. I can't wait those episodes.
Yes.
But moving on to like I think just and just staying in Winterfell, when Cersei visits Catelyn to kind of check in on Bran to make sure he all right, that shit was I didn't realize it or I didn't think about it until now.
How diabolical that shit was.
Yeah, like because she may have been there to try to kill that little motherfucker.
Yeah,
she may have been there to kind of to try to smother him. I didn't think about that shit. I was kind of thinking to myself that she was just checking in on him to see whether or not he was actually going to die, make it, or shit like that, or see if he's talked. But I'm wondering whether or not she was actually going up in there to really put that pillow on his face.
She was definitely trying
just
to
end it, right?
She was definitely trying to see if that motherfucker was gonna make it or not.
Yeah, she was definitely trying to see that, but I'm trying to see whether or not she was there to actually kill that little motherfucker. I didn't even think about that shit until this rewatch.
She would not dirty her hands like that. She would send somebody, and although somebody got sent, she didn't.
Cersei wouldn't do what?
She would not dirty her hands to do it herself. I'm sorry.
I don't know about that.
She would not do it herself. She would not do it herself.
I don't know, man. Like we've seen Cersei burn whole cities when her back is against the wall. Like, yeah, I mean, shit, like a little 10-year-old boy ain't nothing to her. Shit.
Man, she definitely was peeping the scene, and the fact that she came up there like she was consoling Cat, that lets you know very, very like early on, like even if she didn't do the pushing in the episode 1, like she's fucking evil, like to the point where, you know, she's not only pretending to console Cat, but telling her about the time she lost the child. Like she, you know, nothing is off
that part ticked me off.
As far as her manipulation is concerned. And like, so that was what I like jumped out to me at that moment. So
like, which by the way isn't a book thing, which always left me wondering whether or not she made that up or whether or not that actually happened. I've always wondered that because that's not a book thing.
Ultimately, as it pays off, it really did happen. And I think the child was taken away and she was told that it was dead. And
oh shit, like, so you going real deep. Okay, so you going some conspiracy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I ain't thinking about that. Like I always wondered whether or not, because in the books that, you know, like that conversation never happened as far as her revealing that she had a child before she started having them Lannisters, the Lannister incest. So, you know.
So we see Jon approach Arya as Arya is trying to learn how to fold or make clothes. And after he, you know, has his encounter with Jaime Lannister, excuse me. And, you know, he brings her a gift. And the gift that he brings her is this little sword, the sword that we now know to be Needle. And he has a little conversation with her. And I guess that's in those moments, that's where you see the relationship between Jon Snow, even if he is a bastard, and his relationship with his brothers and sisters, rather than just the relationship that he has with their mother.
Right.
And you know, because we don't even their father to a certain extent.
And even Sansa, you know, like Sansa treated him like shit too. So I mean,
true that.
Arya was definitely one of the few people.
Arya and Robb. So like
Arya and Robb,
see him,
exactly.
And he goes up, like, and we'll talk about him going up to see Bran in a second, but like basically you see Jon, the dynamic between him and Arya, him and Robb as they hug each other as he's getting ready to leave. But before that, he's up there. He goes up to the room to see Bran, and he's saying Bran is gonna make it. He believes Bran is gonna make it. He basically gets beside his bed and tells him, you know, when you wake up, you know, you come to the wall and see me. I'll be at the wall then.
And Cat tells him to shut the fuck up.
Basically, I'm talking about. She's like, I'm sick of your motherfucking mouth.
Shut your ass up
and get the fuck out of my face.
Get the fuck out of my face.
And Ned's standing there at the door. Ned's standing at the door like, God damn, this is a bad time.
Ned was like, I'm glad it ain't me.
Right. Because you can't stand up for him in that moment, right? Like, you can't stand up for Jon because right now Catelyn is obviously mourning Bran in the state that he's currently in. So I can't like be like, hey, Cat, chill the fuck out. But at the same time, it's like, damn, I don't want this to be how it is the last time I see Jon.
Yeah, I've already talked about this, but I just think that's just ridiculously unreasonable. Like for Cat to act like that towards Jon Snow. You know, especially who we know who Jon Snow is.
It was fucking
how just humble and how fucking unsure of himself he is. Like, goddamn it. I mean, if there's one thing Jon Snow needed was a goddamn pick me up.
Yeah,
because that motherfucker was walking around like he was just fucking depressed, you know. And so, I mean, just like a fucking Batman or some shit. And so I've talked about that anyway.
Yeah. Oh shit, what happened?
Yeah, they doing a.
What the fuck just
There you
happened?
go. All
Oh,
right,
okay. Shit.
Okay.
Okay. I was like, damn, the screen and motherfucking flip flopped and all the goddamn shit. Like,
Right.
But yeah, like so essentially we see even like in a few of those moments, like as John is meeting with them all, like Arya has a little trouble training Nymeria, her wolf. And so like that was kind of a maybe a foreshadowing at some point. And then the wolves are obviously bigger, as Leslie touched on earlier. And I think that's kind of that was their way. Like Carlton said earlier, that this time, the way that time jumps on this one is more subtle. I think the dogs were a reference point to the wolves were a reference point of the time passage. Like you could look at the wolves and like they were much bigger than they were just, the last time we saw them, which lets us know that some time is passing. And so we see that shit, and we see that the conversation happening as John, I guess, prepares to leave. First, that was a message to who receives the message that Daenerys has married the Dothraki? Baratheon?
Yes. The king receives it.
Yeah, because that's the conversation that they end up having on the like when they stop when they're on the King's Road. Yeah, like when they had that conversation. But in that conversation and when they were all leaving and going to separate paths, when Ned and basically John had that conversation about, essentially John wanted to know who his mother was, and Ned, I mean, obviously this foreshadowing and what we know now, I mean, just heavy foreshadowing, right? Down to like, you are Stark. He even says that shit. He doesn't say like, you're my son. He just says like, you are Stark.
You have my blood.
Exactly. You have my blood. And I'm sorry, my damn.
That's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're right. Like he tells him, no matter what, like you have my blood, and I promise you that I'll tell you about your mother the next time. You might not have my name, but you have my blood. He asked me, is my mother alive? He said, I promise I'll tell you about your mother the next time I see you. And at that point in time, as first time watchers, we don't know if it's gonna be like, I guess we imagine, we don't know. Literally, episodes 1 and 2 is the first time for like what is going to amount to seasons, like maybe 6 seasons, that we ever see all of these people in the same place again until fucking season 7, the end of season 7 or the beginning of season 8. Like, we're not gonna see these people again. And so like that's a significant thing in retrospect that watching again puts you in, like, oh shit, like John really went to the fucking wall in episode, like he headed towards the wall in episode 2, and Ned headed towards like I don't know why before I thought the drama started much later the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
And it really does, but like by the end of episode 2, and I'm not trying to time jump to the end of episode 2, but like it's already trouble in paradise between the Starks and the Lannisters at King's Landing as a result of what goes down. And let's kind of talk about that. Well, before we talk about that, let's talk about I think we already touched on the conversation a little bit that Tyrion and Jon Snow had. So
when
I don't think
we traveling.
Right. So I don't think that we have to get into that again. But what we can get into is the Maester coming up to the room and talking to Cat about the accounts. Like, man, these motherfuckers done ate us out of house and home, like, shit, let's talk about it. And she like, nigga, don't you see my son laying here, on, what I mean, leaning on an everlasting arm? Like, can you come back and holler at me later? And then Rob is like, yo, look, I'll, I got it or whatever. And he talking to his mom, like, when was the last time you left this motherfucking room, Mom? And she like, I need to be here with Bran. I need to be here with Bran. Suddenly there's a distraction in the distance, and it's a fire. So Rob, seeing the fire, goes to check it out. And now it's just Cat and Bran in the room. Suddenly a hooded man appears and says to her, "You're not supposed to be here." He pulls out a dagger. Talk to me.
So this is one of the few times that you really get to see Cat in action. She, as a protective mother, as much shit as she throws off on Jon Snow, her blood children, she's gonna be down with it. And so she jumps in the way, and the man tries to cut her, and her hands get all cut up and everything. And they're struggling, and she, pushes him back into the wall or whatever big piece of furniture is behind them. And the man, throws her off, and he's about to stab Bran. And who comes in? Bran's direwolf.
Right, Ghost, right? Isn't that Ghost?
No, his is Summer.
Okay, Summer is his. Okay, so Summer is his direwolf.
Summer is Bran's.
Summer pulls up and exits that motherfucker out the game. So
and chomps on his neck, and then they show the little
jugular vein, jugular vein. Yeah, so he
air bubble in it.
He turned that motherfucker into a doggy treats and whatnot. And at that moment, like you really understand the first time we understand the significance of those wolves and the decision that was made in episode 1. Like if they didn't pick up those wolves that day, as John suggested, then that wolf would not have been there to protect Bran in that moment. So,
and I wanna suppose something. Is that possibly Bran's first warging experience? That he called his wolf to him.
Let's explore it. It may be what we should be doing, since she asked that question, is paying attention very closely to how it plays out from now on to determine whether or not, before we actually knew what warging was or understood that to be the way that he had the ability to connect with other with beings. If there was instances where these connections were happening, but we just didn't understand that they were happening. So that's something that we could definitely pay attention to. I do think for sure that it was one of the first moments where you begin to have to pay attention to the fact that every decision that's made is going to matter at some point. So there are no scenes that are merely just for entertainment, at least in the first 2 episodes. Every last one of them is for the purpose of setting up something, whether it's by the end of the episode or by the end of the entire series. And so even and I pointed out in episode 1, the shaving of Robb Stark, the position that Catherine was in as she was fighting the dagger as he was trying to cut her throat with it. That image, she survived it in that moment. But we know having the privilege of being able to fast forward to the future on the show, what's going to be her demise. And so I do think that the way that things happen early on, like I'm paying more attention to it.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it hits differently because, again, of what we know, how we know the series unfolds. And we're like, oh, okay, I missed that the first time or the second time I watched it. I wasn't thinking about this, how these things connect. And or who said what and how it's going to pay off, 2 or 3 seasons later.
Right.
So yeah, it does hit differently. And so that's one of the things that came to my mind in that scene. Did Bran cyclically call his direwolf to him to protect him? Was that his first word? Go ahead.
Coming fresh off of House of the Dragon, I'm also really understanding the significance of the dagger. Because when you watch it the first time, we have no idea what that dagger really means and what in the line that it has passed through up to this point, and who it belongs to in this ethos. So it's interesting to watch how that's playing out as well.
True. That's Rhaenyra's dagger. That was Viserys's dagger. Like, that's a highborn dagger, and
that's the first Aegon's dagger. Yeah, it goes on.
He calls it out in saying, "This is not no poor man's dagger. Like, that belonged to somebody of stature." But the first time through, we have no idea how significant that is. So,
yeah, so Leslie, what we're talking about is the attack on Bran and Cat, and her surviving that moment. And I was pointing out the fact that I thought that was even foreshadowing, even though she survived at that time, the way that the man attempted to kill her ultimately.
Yeah, with the cut.
Right. Yeah. And so we kind of were getting into all of that, and that's where we were.
No, so I thought when I first watched this, I thought that even though the killing of Jon Arryn maybe or probably wasn't the work of the Lannisters, I thought this was the work of the Lannisters. Yeah. Now, I thought for sure, I was like, oh, okay, well, they clearly sent that guy to kill him. But when Tyrion made his argument later, and what was that? Like, I guess an episode or two later, when he was confronted by Cat, he was like, why would I send this motherfucker with my blade to go kill your son? Right? Like, how dim-witted do you think I am? And I was like, well, Tyrion's no fucking fool. So it couldn't have been him. Obviously, I knew it wasn't him. And I was like, well, shit, Cersei and whatchamacallit probably wouldn't have done that either, because that connects them too close to the actual like to the actual murder or like attempted murder. And so, my mind was running throughout this whole entire time too, as far as just that first rewatch about who really sent this guy, because he was clearly a low-born peasant ass nigga who got this who got this expensive ass blade. Yeah, so that was some mystery behind that.
Are we sure Clubfoot didn't send him into the future?
Hey, look. I don't think Clubfoot had no progeny, because you can't fucking have, you can't have babies. So
but Clubfoot is a green seer. He could be like Bran,
Yeah, unless a foot had a baby, it'd probably be a problem.
So like, unless also, feet start reproducing, huh?
So, and I think Leslie touched on it earlier. There was an evolution of the relationship dynamics between Khaleesi and Khal Drogo, and going back over to the Dothraki kingdom. Before we do, we'll go ahead and. She asked the head maid to teach her how to please Khal Drogo, but also to teach her how to find her own pleasure in the experience. And so she begins to teach her ways to do so by looking in the eyes and saying, love is made through the eyes and things of that nature. And essentially she shows Khaleesi how to have her power in that moment, and says to her, he may be the king out there, but when he's in this space, he's yours. And y'all want to kind of get into that before we close out?
Yeah, so she is finally coming into some self-knowledge and some power of self. because before, like I said, she was timid, she was tragic, she was, just in the first episode, just the way that Viserys treated her, and now she's the Khaleesi, so she has handmaidens and this, that, and the third, at her disposal, and so she's getting all the attention in that way. She still doesn't think she has any power, or feels she doesn't have any power, until she asks one of her handmaidens to show her, to teach her how to please the cow and make love in a different style so that they can connect differently. Otherwise, she's just a glory hole.
Yeah,
hate to say it like that.
I found it interesting that despite the way she came into this marriage, despite the way she had been treated very early on in the marriage, that she still desired to make him happy and desired to know how to please him. So I struggled with that a little bit, but I think Jorah kind of made a comment. He looked at her and saw that she was fearful and told her it gets easier. I guess my logic is she thought to herself, well, let me figure out a way to get through this because I got to be here anyway. But it just was very kind of sad almost to see that she was doing this work to bridge the gap between them because they couldn't communicate. And all he wanted to do was just, hey, come here, let me do what I got to do and whatever.
Right.
So. Yeah, and this is the first time where she, like Warrior Queen and Celestial, usually y'all both just say the same thing. She takes power into her own hands and she flips it, because previously, like we've mentioned before, she's been a chattel. She's been the pawn of other men, all the other men surrounding around her. And so this is something that, we see at least throughout season 1 that Alicent has failed to do. She's just this pawn that is in the service of other men. While now at this stage of Khaleesi, we saw the dragon in her eyes, but this is the first time where she put that empowerment to actual action, right? Yeah. And this is the kind of the first, and this is the kind of the birth of like who we know Khaleesi as this person going from then until like until obviously the end of the series. This is the Khaleesi that we know, right?
Right.
She gets more and more empowered by this, and deservedly so, right? Especially towards her fucking bitch ass brother Viserys III.
Right. Now that's facts. Is the evolution of Khaleesi from the beginning of the first episode when we see her and she's like this meek individual who her brother is taking advantage of, to by the end or the last time we see her in episode 2, she is learning how to wield her power or own her power, like rather than allow herself to be allow is not the right word, but she no longer feels powerless, and she's now empowered. And I think that's her trajectory the rest of the series. And so we get foreshadowing at that point that this man that she essentially is taming in this moment he's a scary person. His hair's down his back because he's never lost a battle. And so even if he's somebody who's scary to the world, you have the power to make him, to tame him even. And so I think that's pretty significant. Got a few more things to get into, and I think that's going to take us right into literally the kids playing by the river, because they're actually in King's Landing now, and Sansa and the Butcher's Boy are playing by the river while I'm sorry, Arya, right? My bad, Arya, because I can't stand Sansa ass. Arya and the Butcher's Boy playing by the river with wooden swords, and Joffrey and Sansa walk up on them, and while they walk up on them, I guess Arya is distracted by Sansa calling out to them, telling them to stop playing, and the butcher's boy accidentally or hits Arya with the wooden thing. She don't give a damn. But Joffrey wants to flex. So, Leslie, you talked a little bit about Joffrey in the beginning of this episode being a little asshole. Talk to us a little bit more about what this scene did to elevate that.
Yeah. So we really got a clear picture of who Joffrey was, right? This kind of who was this person who is bitch made to the like 10th degree, I believe. I don't know if there's too many more degrees after that as far as the bitch made degree scale, but so he's around that.
So basically, he's high up on the bitch acidness scale.
High up. I mean, as far as like modern science is concerned, that's the fucking highest as far as the bitch made Richter scale. He is like the 10th fucking degree. And but like just throughout that whole entire aspect, right? We see Sansa, who is just like trying to protect her, like her station, right? Because she wants to be betrothed to this prince. This is her dream, and so she's doing everything to protect it, including fucking going against her own sister by almost any means, right? And we see this later on when they're actually confronted by the king about what happened, and Sansa obviously takes up for Joffrey, but even before that, we also see Joffrey, who is just timid, right? Like in a sense of if he talks a good game, he has a loud ass bark, but when it comes to about that action, boss, he ain't about that action. Right. And we see that, like as soon as fucking Arya has the high ground, he starts crying like the bitch he is. And I thought that it was interesting, right? We also see the dynamic between the children and the direwolves, because when Arya is in trouble, when Arya is there's this sort of like, I guess they have this connection with each other, right? That we'll see more and more down the line. But Nymeria comes to the rescue and bites the shit out of Joffrey, deservedly so. And he is, and he is disarmed because of that. And then we see Micah, the butcher's son, running away. And more on him down the road. Not too much more on him, but I know how that story ends. And so Joffrey, man, and this is sort of one of the things that we see that plays throughout Joffrey's whole entire arc. Someone who is a coward, but when he is being faced with a challenge, he folds like a fucking lawn chair. But when he is in a position of authority and command, and when he has the fucking all the power, right, then he shows about how much of a strong and serious person he is. But that shit is all for show. That shit is all for show.
Yep. I mean, he definitely. Like you said, he was terrified, but the motherfucker was swinging a real sword at Arya over her pushing him down for trying to swing a real sword and literally cutting the boy on his face for playing. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, so you see, he get it from his mama and his fucking daddy that he don't know is his daddy. So,
that's the thing, right? But even Cersei and Jaime are like brave to a certain extent, right? I mean, like they'll do shit when their back is against the wall, whereas Joffrey's back is against the wall. He just fucking folds.
Yeah,
he's a psychopath, yes, but he's also a bitch ass psycho. It's like
Jaime about their life now. I think Cersei and Jaime are definitely about that.
Cersei is a psychopath.
They're all diabolical though.
Cersei's a psychopath to like a fucking like a real degree, right? Which is like, okay, she's about that action, especially when it comes to fucking kids.
Lily Brown said Danny and the maid equal the European version of Miss Suge and Celie. Lord have mercy.
European Essos version of
Does that make Khal Drogo Mister?
Maybe so.
No, Viserys is Mister.
Okay. Yeah, he really is. That motherfucker
that's a
really
good point.
is.
Mysterious and Mister.
That shit is funny. But so yeah, after this shit goes down, like the dog bites this little punk ass motherfucker, and suddenly, they want to get it back in blood. And so now they basically come in the room. Joffrey already lying, saying he was attacked by Arya and the butcher's boy and the wolf. And Sansa little funky ass, she ain't nowhere to be found at this moment. They and they call her in the room to ask her, like, what did y'all think about Sansa's decision in that moment? Like, how did let me get
protecting the station.
Talk about what her decision was, and then
that was the biggest self-centered, egocentrical thing that you could ever do, to go against your family. Number one, and number two, not to tell the truth because you think it's gonna get you what you want. She's trying to be, his queen or whatever, because he's gonna be the future king, and I'm trying to set myself up, and y'all keep messing up stuff for me. So she's not thinking about her family. None of the things that she was taught in the North it's all gone out the window because I need to change my hair, I need to change my clothes, I need to be a lady of King's Landing, and so it's all surface. And it means nothing. It's just window dressing, but she's trying to window dress like the people she wants to be. And that's just like body image things that go on today,
Right, but that's the thing about Arya and Sansa. They ain't never fuck with each other like that. Never. So like when it came time to fucking stab Arya in the back, she was like, "Hey, shit!" Especially if I'm going to protect my fucking place, and marry the future king. Fuck you, fuck her, fuck my family. I'm about to fucking. I didn't see shit. I ain't see shit, but what the future kings said I'm supposed to see.
Yeah,
that's it.
I ain't see shit. I ain't
never fuck with each other like that. Shit. Yeah, right. They ain't never fuck with each other like that.
Go ahead, Sledge.
Second time through, all I could just keep hearing was, you just do not know what you are asking for and what you are setting yourself up for. And she got that all back in spades because Joffrey was the queen fuck boy and not the king fuck boy, the queen fuck boy.
Bitch ass nigga to
he paid for that. He paid for how she moved with her family because he was crazy. So
yes. So basically, yeah, absolutely. Joffrey was absolutely a fuck boy in that regard. I think that her not speaking up, she has no, like, the first time I watched, I didn't understand why it was so frigid a relationship between Arya and Sansa. Looking at that shit again, understanding she basically was her father's death sentence by not speaking up. Like, this is going to be what leads to Ned ultimately losing his fucking head. Is, this chain of events that starts with her not speaking up in that moment. And so it makes sense to me, like, because Arya is the only one there with them. Like, it's her and Arya are both there. I don't like, Rob is still at Winterfell because his mama told him somebody always got to stay at Winterfell.
It's just the two daughters.
Right. So she said there's always got to be a Stark at Winterfell. So it's just the two daughters. So Arya knows you had a chance to fucking speak up and you didn't. And so I got a problem with you because we know what happened to our dad as a result of you not doing that shit in that moment. And so again, this is the second instance where the decision to keep the direwolves ultimately affects every fucking thing. Because if the direwolf is not there to bite Joffrey
protects Arya and bite
protect Arya, but it's like if the direwolf is not there to protect Arya, then Joffrey probably stabs Arya. And if Joffrey kills Arya in that moment because the direwolf is not there to protect her, then Arya is not there in the battle with the White Walkers. So like it's
Goddamn, motherfucking.
Hey man, I'm telling you, man.
Nigga must be smoking that Zaza, man.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, I'm watching. That's how I'm watching this shit now. Like, oh shit, oh shit. And so, yeah, that's like that's where it kind of ends. This episode.
And it's funny though because with but one more thing, but with Ned killing Sansa's direwolf, that seemingly wakes up Bran, right? Because as soon as that direwolf is killed, Bran's direwolf is kind of startled or kind of I don't know what the fuck happened to him, but all of a sudden he's alert, and then Bran wakes up.
Yeah,
and that's the end of the episode.
So wait, we missed something important though.
Okay.
When the butcher's son getting ran down, get spin the block.
No, that's not the part I was talking about. Where after that second attempt on Bran's life, Caitlin decides to go investigate where he fell.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. She goes up into the tower and finds that blonde hair.
Here's the reason why she decides to go to King's Landing. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep.
That's true. You know what though, man? Like, and here's the thing I don't like about like some of this shit. It takes a lot of different shit to happen for we know who's plan to carry out as far as this whole like start. It takes a lot of like unforeseen shit he couldn't have known when he was planning this whole fucking thing, right? Like for for Bran to see fucking Cersei and got to see inside Winterfell, right? But Bran to see Cersei and goddamn Jaime fucking, he didn't know what was going to happen. He know shit was going to happen, right? Like for that shit to happen, and then for that domino to take place, and then for him to hire the fucking person to try to kill Bran with Tyrion's fucking blade that he had got on some bet or some shit, like or whatever the fuck he had gotten the blade from, like all that shit that took place. A lot of crazy shit had to happen for them to come to the conclusion that Bran was pushed out that window by one of the Lannisters.
Yeah,
a lot of shit had to happen.
A lot of shit.
Like a lot of crazy shit had to happen. It was like I started looking at that shit. I was like, God damn, this nigga got lucky.
Yeah, there's a lot of fate type shit happened in between all of the diabolical plans.
The plan shit that happened, right? Like, all right, cool, but like there was a lot of other shit that had to happen in order for like them motherfuckers to set it off.
Right, like he like, oh, the Stark kid is fucked up. Let me go ahead.
Cool. Let me send this motherfucker.
Right, yeah, like we go ahead and send one of these
chaos, baby, chaos.
Right, to do this. And
exactly.
So like you said, like we see that the wheels are already spinning, and it's already just in the first 2 episodes. I don't know why. The first time I watched it, I thought the shit started slow. I thought it started slow, but I don't know if it's just a deeper appreciation for the show the second time around, and even having some of the House of the Dragon reference points as well now in the arsenal to watch again. It definitely is the watch has a different feel to it the second time around than it did the first time.
Yep.
What are y'all looking forward to, I guess, throughout this journey of us rewatching them Thrones? Y'all, we're gonna be doing this shit. And we're gonna definitely try to get our rhythm down, because covering 2 fucking episodes the way that we be covering shit, we be pretty fucking thorough. So we got to, but we appreciate y'all rocking with us for the last 2. But we're gonna try to keep, we're gonna try to pace it a little bit more moving forward. But what are y'all looking forward to throughout this journey? Warrior Queen, I'm gonna pass it to you.
I'm looking forward to basically seeing how things connect from House of the Dragon into Game of Thrones. Where's this web weaving? Where is it going? How is which piece is moving next? Which way are we gonna turn this Rubik's Cube? Backwards, forwards, to the side, to the left, to the right. I think it's eventually going to be very much a 3-dimensional puzzle as they put the different shows in. But right now we have 2 dimensions, and yeah, it's going to form. It is forming, and I'm looking to see how the pieces connect. Did I connect them right the first time, or has my opinion changed with all the new information that I have?
Facts. What about you, Celestial?
So, number one, when I came onto the original Game of Thrones, it was already about 3 seasons deep. And so I kind of rushed through trying to catch up so I could be with the show. Yeah. And so I'm realizing I missed a lot of things. Like there were some dots that I did not connect the first time through. And so that, in conjunction with having the knowledge of having watched the whole thing, having the knowledge of the history from House of the Dragon, it's like almost like a new show for me this time around. So I'm going to really enjoy the pace that we're going at and really trying to watch and understand all of the connections, all of the Easter eggs. So that's what I'm looking forward
to. Samantha said, are we going to talk about the House of the Dragon spoilers as they happen in Game of Thrones? I don't think we should.
I don't think we should. But
yeah,
I mean,
I don't think we. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna. At least we won't intentionally. I don't think.
Yeah, I can't. Was she talking about like what season 1 or like book spoilers? I guess she's talking about more book spoilers.
Or like things that I guess maybe like that they maybe connect back to the characters we know of in House of Dragon when they reference them in Game of Thrones. Like it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic because it's like shit. We'll get into that. We'll get into that after. I'm gonna let Leslie handle it. And then we'll get into that. So, what about you, Leslie?
Yeah, no, man. But you know what I'm most interested in? I'm most interested in the plots that ended up not fucking going anywhere. And I really want to start pointing those shits out because this shit is so well done, but it finished so fucking stupid. Not even as far as like what actually happened and where all the people ended up being and the chess pieces ended up like becoming where they were. It was just a lot of like plots that were just kicked to the curb. And throughout this rewatch, I'm looking forward to kind of diving into those plots that ended up going nowhere or kind of, got pushed to the wayside in order for them to hurry up and finish season 8. Other than that, I mean, I'm just happy to rewatch this shit with y'all. This is gonna be fun.
Facts. I agree, man. I think for me, I'm definitely looking forward to the shit that I missed the first time, the Easter eggs. I did not get into Game of Thrones probably until season 2, season 3, and I binged it as well, Celestial. And in binging it, like I don't even know why I started watching Game of Thrones. I think somebody was just watching that shit one night, and it happened to be like an episode, maybe like with the White Walkers or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
like were y'all spoiled to like the certain shit that happened before y'all started watching it? Like, did y'all know about certain shit? Like, the only thing I didn't know about was the Red Wedding. Ned's death I knew about before I started watching it.
No, I didn't know about none of that shit. So I think I got caught it. Like, I think maybe one of the first, what season was it when Samuel kills the White Walker?
What is that fucking shit?
Was it like season 3 or season 4?
Season 4.
Okay.
Season 4. Because I started watching it at the end of season 5.
Okay.
So I didn't start till late.
Yeah,
I didn't get on till late.
I didn't know about none of that shit that was gonna wind up happening. But I started growing fond of the characters and shit like that, and then boom, my favorite like like my favorite motherfucking character. Like what the fuck? Like this nigga not making it to the end? Like, because I was a fan of Jon Snow, but Jon Snow was gone a lot of the time, so I was a fan of Rob. And I'm like, Rob seemed like a good dude. Like maybe he might be the
man. Like, but during that second rewatch though, you saw all that foreshadowing.
Shit now. I'm like, oh shit, right
good.
Now you seeing the shit. Like they giving you plenty of Easter. Like they're like almost giving you arrows now. Like that's what the shit looks like. Arrow. Like, it looks like they are literally pointing to like You see this motherfucker right here? This nigga
this
right
is
here.
The reason he is going to die.
This motherfucker. Hey, look, don't get used to this motherfucker.
He is fucked because of this specific reason. That the shit that he's doing right now.
Right. So
let me tell you what I know.
Right.
I rocked with it from episode 1. So I have become in a sense a GOT therapist. I have nursed several friends who came to it late and was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, so we need to get a kit going. So you need to have your nerve pill, your drinks, a pillow, a blanket, your therapist on speed dial. It can't be me because my schedule was full.
GOT therapist.
They were fucked up when things happened, like when the Red Wedding, when different things happened and different people died.
By far.
And and like at the end of season 1, woo, yeah, they was ready to jump off the cliff. It was like, it's over now. I was like, honey, it's just getting started. So get all your things, get your vape, sit there with your vape, whatever you need to keep your nerves down.
Yeah.
Okay. Get your kit together anytime that you watch your 2 episodes.
It was definitely don't get fucking used to the Starks. Like, because they make you think that's who the show is about. I mean, and it is to a certain extent. But like at the very, very beginning, like you think like, oh, okay, these are the people that's gonna make it to the motherfucking end of this show. And you think Ned is I thought the nigga was gonna make it to the end of season 1. I don't think that nigga made it past episode 6 of season 1. But whenever whatever happened to him happens, like I wasn't expecting that shit because I didn't read the books or anything like that.
Once we meet somebody that we're about to meet, in the next 2 episodes, once they get to King's Landing, and they have their first council meeting, that's who I was watching. Yep. And so for people who haven't seen it, I'm not gonna. That's all I'm gonna say about it. But the next 2 episodes, you need to watch people. You need to watch how they're moving. You need to watch what they're saying and listen to what they're saying because they're telling you.
I was about to say because the listening part, what you were just saying, it's the motivations and shit. That's the shit that really intrigues me with all of these characters who actually play the game, right?
Yeah.
Not Nick, because Ned didn't fucking play the game.
Yeah. I found myself writing down people's lines and shit this time. Like writing down what exactly was said to who it was said.
Motivation.
Like all of that shit. Like I was writing it down this time. And so it took me longer to make my notes, even in the notes I be taking in House of the Dragon, because even if I'm taking House of the Dragon notes, I'm not always writing down exactly what they said, the way that they said it. And this time, now that I understand that everything means something, in this show, like I listen differently.
And that's the kind of style that George R. Martin, that's how he writes. He calls himself a gardener, meaning he plants the seed, aka the shit that is, like the motivation, and then he grows it from there, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things that are said in passing, that's some shit that is actually the seed that will eventually grow into like what will be fucking mind fucked about.
Got you. I mean that makes fucking perfect sense. I think that's a great place to, well, I will say this because we were asked a question by Samantha regarding spoilers. I don't think we will intentionally try to spoil anything from House of the Dragon. Like I don't think, like, because there may be instances where, shit that we see between now and I guess the 2 years that it takes for House of the Dragon to come back. We're gonna see some things that are references to actual Game of Thrones like canon history. So I suppose that for the sake of advancing the conversation in the podcast, we'll do it, but we won't do it in a way that hopefully ruins our ability to watch and appreciate the show House of the Dragon, which is we know is a prequel, represents hundreds of years prior to the Game of Thrones. So we'll definitely do our best to like we'll walk that road. We'll walk that tight road. I don't think we've entered the realm of any spoilers yet, other than, you know, obviously the relationship between the dagger and you know, what it meant from how that being Rhaenyra's dagger, Viserys's dagger. So I think those types of things we'll probably touch on, but maybe like not super substantive things that we have not been able to witness yet. If that helps, I think that's a good happy medium for us to be able to do this successfully. So
yeah. Yep. Like we'll mention shit in passing, but we'll stay on the actual episodes that we're covering.
Yeah. We'll do y'all right. We promise. Yeah. And we want to thank y'all for tapping in with us tonight and for rocking with us for 220, man. Like we definitely gonna work on getting that time down. I mean, we enjoy talking to y'all, so we glad that y'all stuck around and rock with us. Hopefully next week, TK will be able to pull back. Not next week, my bad. We're doing this every other week, every other Sunday. So not next Sunday, but the Sunday after that. We'll be back with episodes. Weekend. Yeah, that's Thanksgiving weekend. So we'll be back with episodes 3 and 4. You know, it's gonna be Black Ass Friday, Black Ass Saturday, and Black Ass Sunday with your cousins on Watch Them Thrones. So we're gonna do our thing then. If you haven't already, man, like I said, please do let HBO know. Like we were serious about that. I know we joke about a lot of shit, but we ain't playing about this. We want y'all to let HBO know y'all are watching them Thrones with us. And the reason we want them to do that, or we want to do that, is because we want to be able to track, you know, like, are people fucking watching them Thrones with us? Because by the time House of the Dragon comes back, we gonna let HBO know, like, hey, look, this is what we doing. Send some of the motherfuckers from the show over to holler at us after the show. Let them jump on Watch Them Thrones with our community here and talk that shit with us. It would be, can y'all imagine? Can y'all imagine grown Rhaenyra while Leslie talk about nigga shit? Grown Rhaenyra, oh dear,
like, oh my god. And then the nigga went over to the fucking the nigga went over to Essos, and I was like, god damn. She'd be like, what the fuck?
Right.
But yeah, we need Uncle Corliss and Aunt Niecy to drop in and see how they adjust.
Right. Exactly. So that's I mean, like, we want to have big fun with this, and so in order to do that's one of the things that we asking y'all to help us with long term. This episode will be up tomorrow on the podcast. Y'all be able to share with your family and friends and motherfuckers who are crazy like y'all and us. And until then, man, you know, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, think black, live black unapologetically. This is the Watch Them Thrones crew, and we out. How you leave this motherfucker?